Hey guys, welcome to Herside Radio, your bi-weekly podcast on thoughts and conversations from a bunch of young adults living in the Toronto area.
What up, Toronto, and other people listening in.
Hey, it's your girl Tre.
And it's your girl C.
And we want to give a special shout out to producer Cray.
Cray in the cut.
So we want to thank you all for listening to our quote-unquote first podcast. We're going to get into the joke about why it's not our first podcast in a little bit, but we wanted to give you a bit of a background story about Herside Radio. I don't know why I tried to sing that, but So basically, Herside Radio literally came up as a thought and conversation that happened on the 39 local. Shout out to all my Toronto people who know about
39 Finch.
Hey, shout out to all my North Side Toronto people who know the struggle of not having consistent subway service. Okay. So literally Herside Radio started off with a bunch of random conversations that producer Cray and I would have on the back of the bus. And eventually we decided maybe we should sit the hell down and record it all.
Everybody sitting on the back of the boat. Or how does it go? That Outcast song. Forget it.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember it right now.
So I am not Andre and you are not Big Boy, so I'm just going to leave the lyrics to those who know it.
Andre and you're Big Boy. Does that make me Farnsworth?
Anyways, so that's producer Craig being a fool in the background. But yeah, so Herside Radio is literally our passion project, and it's our idea for the new year on how to be a better version of ourselves and to challenge ourselves to be better people. So it's gonna literally be random recordings and conversations. And it's actually funny because today's conversation is about why is it so hard to be a better you?
But before we get into that, do you want to explain to people why we called it Herside Radio?
So why is it Herside Radio?
Why is it really radio?
You know what?
Podcast?
It's a radio podcast, but I feel like all the cool kids are calling all recordings radio now. And I think it throws it back to like the art of radio. So I love Charlemagne the God. And if you've read his book, he talks about the art of radio and like studying people's crafts. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't studied people's craft. But one thing I know is I love radio personalities. I never really listened to the radio for the music, because I grew up in the age of CDs. I listened to the radio to hear people's conversations. So I thought it would be really cool to add that to the Herside. And Herside is kind of double-sided. First off, it's a really cool Gold Link song. So for those of you who like music, go look up Gold Link Herside. It's an amazing song. But also Herside because we are a bunch of female-identified folks. And we're talking about...
Shout out to us.
Yeah, and we're talking about our side of the conversation. It might not be the side you agree with. Heck, it might not even be the side that you want to listen to. But it's the side that you are, giving a try. You are exploring it with us. So Herside Radio.
It's her side. Mm-hmm. Well, our side. But, get it? Hers? Mine,
yeah.
Hers. Yeah.
So what we are talking about is why is it so hard to be a better you? So as we slightly alluded to, this is not our first time recording this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
This is not our second time.
Boo-boos and things.
This
the
is
audacity of audacity.
So basically what happened is about a week ago, we recorded a podcast about how to stay on track with your goals. And we were really put together and we had this whole conversation about setting goals. And then Audacity, which is a wonderful program from what I am told to believe. And for those of you who hear the sirens in the background, like I said, we live in Northside, Toronto.
That's exactly how I felt about the damn thing when it just corrupted fudge.
Yeah, so the recording we had done previously actually got corrupted. And I'm not going to lie, and I think producer Craig can speak to this as well. And stop corruption. But also, it really discouraged us on, do we really want to do this? Because our first go around to have something fail, it's difficult. I'm trying to hold back tears right now. I'm not going to lie.
Getting a smack in your face, kind of,
Yeah, and so it was really important for us to sit back down and discuss why is it hard to reach your goals. And I think our audio corrupting was a prime example of why it's hard. Number one, when things don't go your way, you want to give up. Am I right?
Cry. Speaking on Cray's behalf, being at her apartment the other day, she wanted to throw her laptop over the balcony. So, you know what I'm saying?
You're lucky you were there to stop me. Because I was ready.
Her nice laptop. She wanted to throw over the balcony. Like, how much she spent on that? I don't even want to know. Anyways.
And I think, like, we can talk about wanting to throw laptops over the balcony, and I'm not even trying to make, like, jokes about mental health, but sometimes you have bad days where you want to throw yourself off the balcony because you're like, you know what? I'm finished. I'm done. I'm complete. Thank you for the opportunity, but I would like to go back to the womb. And if I can't go back to the womb, let me go back to my creator. Because what? Responsibilities?
That's how I kind of feel about adulthood right now.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to want to be a better version of yourself when challenges you don't plan for come in your way. I can plan for a bus being late. I can plan for like a store closing. I can't plan for a whole file to delete itself. I can't plan for my boss. This is an example, but for my boss or my coworker to be an asshole. You can't plan for that stuff.
Those ones.
And so it makes it really hard to reach your goal. So if your goal is like getting promoted and everyone in your workplace is a shit-faced person, all of a sudden changing is a lot more difficult.
And I don't really like to kiss ass, so about that promotion.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that really stands in the way of being a better you is there's things that come up that are out of your control, and thus you need to learn to deal with them. Sigh.
But doesn't obstacles make you getting to your goal even better because you know you overcame stuff? Why are you looking so...
I think hindsight is 20/20. So yes, once you reach your goal, you're like, yeah, you know that what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. You know. But in the moment, you're like, screw that shit. I'm tired. I'm gonna be honest. That's just me though.
That's how I feel all the time.
Yeah.
Like shit. Why isn't this working? Why did the thing mess up? Huh? Why did it mess up? You know what? I don't want to record no more. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Like,
so it might make the... You know how the whole idea of like, if you give me lemons, I'll make lemonade. So like more lemons might make my lemonade better. But in the process, I'm like, why do you keep doing this to me?
My hands are hurting from squeezing lemonade. Lemons, sorry.
Exactly. And I think sometimes what's really easy for us to do is focus on the negative and get sidetracked. So maybe what I'm hearing is we need to try to find the positive. So I guess a positive of having our file corrupt is now we have an idea that might happen, and so we can be better prepared, but also makes us reflect, like, do we really want to do this? Because we could have easily been like, yo, the thing corrupted, I'm done, I'm finished.
Yeah. So about that plan you were talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's really interesting about like things will come up. I guess another thing I would say that's hard about reaching your goals, or a question I will ask, is if you have a goal and you can't accomplish it fully, how does that feel?
Well, if you could look back to a couple of weeks ago, we were in 2017, you're about to wrap up, and you're like, okay, what have I really done so far? And I'm sitting there on my bed and I'm like, shit, we have how many days left? I said I was going to do this, said I was going to do that, and get to it. So how do I feel about that? Not good. It makes you feel like, what did I do with my year? But then again, I had to look back and go, you know what? Even though I didn't get to this goal, I still accomplished this and this and this. Mm-hmm. So with the days I have left, maybe I can try getting to that goal, or, you know, break it down into pieces so it's not as hard for me to reach that goal or to obtain something. Well, even if I didn't get to that goal, like try to get to something, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's something, like, the whole breaking into pieces is something that I like to do with my goals, because if I don't, I get really overwhelmed. So I always make the joke of, like, I want to be a video vixen, but, like, being a video vixen is a really overwhelming goal. So I've made it, like, bite-sized goals. Like, I want to go to gym twice this week. And, like, maybe, and this is going to sound horrible and y'all can laugh, but maybe going to the gym means I literally walk in and sit in the massage chair and then walk out. But I went to the gym.
But you didn't say what you're going to do at the gym. So you're going to the gym, a lie?
A lie? I didn't lie. I said I'm going to the gym.
Okay.
So sometimes it's about setting these like
realistic
goals.
Let's be real.
And these mini goals so that you can feel accomplished. I was having this conversation with someone and they're like, oh, you know, my goal is to move away from home and I still live at home. I'm like, yeah, okay, so you still live at home, but like, were you able to do research? Do you know what you need to move now? And all of a sudden...
Do you know how much money you're going to need?
Exactly.
Where you want to move exactly? Do you have a savings account? Something.
And I would say those are small goals that we should be proud of, right? Because like if I were to wake up tomorrow and say, yo, I'm leaving my mom's, and yo, you're rude, but I know what I need now to move, as in comparison when I was 17 and left my mom's, I just was like, OSAP.
You be living off macaroni and cheese, friend.
And, yes, and just for those of you who are listening who don't know who OSAP is because you are privileged or you don't live in Ontario, it's basically our student loan program. So if I had
that thing is the devil.
And that's another conversation. But what I would say is, I'm closer to my goal of moving out now and moving out stably, because I had an experience where I failed at that goal, where I moved and I depended on a source of income that was not a real source of income, but a debt sentence, but whatever. And now if someone were to say, hey, you know, move out, I have a better plan in place and I have more information. So I would say, as discouraging as it may be, not reaching your goals can teach you something about yourself and can teach you the small goals you can accomplish to end up at that big goal. For example, no one owns their house when they first get it. You pay your mortgage every month, and then at the end of it, you own your house. So I think that's a really good example, right? Like I have never met someone, and maybe it's because of, you know, my circumstances, but I've never met someone who's like, yo, I got a house and they have the house in their name. Nah,
like bought out.
No, nah. You, like everyone else, have this thing called mortgage, maybe a second mortgage. Okay. So with that, it's not the end of the world if you don't get to your goal. No, not at all. It's a learning lesson.
And I was gonna ask, do you ever take shortcuts to get to your goals?
Okay, so let me tell y'all a real shortcut that I have taken. So this is related to the gym. So I like to think I'm a gym rat, but anyone who knows me knows Ronald McDonald and I are buddies. So
5 a.m. Those 5 a.m.s.
So let me put in perspective. I'm the person who will go to the gym at 5 a.m. I'm also the person who knows like every new McDonald's item. So I live a double life. But what I would say in terms of taking shortcuts to my goal, a shortcut that I've taken that I realize that now isn't like, it doesn't pan out to be the best, is like I've used like diet pills, for example. And it's great because I'm like, ooh, look at me, I look good. And then like a month later, my body is back to Patrick Starfish.
So how do you feel?
I feel like when you take shortcuts to your goals, what happens is you don't get that real sense of accomplishment that you would get if you struggled through it. And not saying that every goal is a struggle, but when you go through the process, you learn to appreciate it more. So I will bring it back to working out, because anyone who works out can tell you that burn of like, so when you work out, you release endorphin. So that burn of like, look at me, even if it's a 5-pound weight, look at me and my 5-pound weight, look at me and just my like body weight squat, is a lot more fulfilling than like, oh my gosh, flat tummy tea, I sat in the toilet for an hour this morning. So like taking the long way or the more scenic route, quote unquote, can sometimes be more satisfying because you learn more about yourself as you go on. So as someone who's lost weight the like fast way with diet pills, and someone who's lost weight
or surgery.
Okay, I don't have surgery money, but as someone who's lost weight using like the long way and someone who's lost weight using the short way, I will honestly say the long way is more rewarding because you know what steps you put in place to get there. And you can then share your story. When I lost weight doing inappropriate things like taking like diet pills and stuff, I wasn't telling people like, oh yeah, just take this and you'll lose weight. I felt ways. Whereas, you know, when I was squatting and your girl was running, I was like, yeah, girl, just, you know, meet me at your local Good Life, you know, not a big deal, deadlifts and things. But yeah.
But meanwhile, and I have also read a book, How to Be a Boss. I forgot who it's by. Sorry, I forgot her name. But she's like a regular girl from Toronto.
It's Lily Singh, Superwoman, right?
Yes, that's it. How did I forget her name? But anyway, shout outs to her. That book is actually inspiring. She did write a part where it you don't take the elevator to get to your goals. You have to climb these stairs.
Oh, I like that. You don't take... Okay, so I don't take the elevator anyway. That's only because I live, like, on the second floor of my building. But that makes a lot of sense. Wow. That got me thinking on, like, other tips you can take to reach your goals. So I would say always... I don't want to say always take the long way, but don't be afraid of stumbling while getting to your goals, because the story you will tell it... Okay, so this is a really random thing. There's chapter books and there's picture books, okay? I don't care what anyone says. Picture books,
pictures.
Yeah, picture books are a lot more entertaining. Or for example, if you're reading like a novel, you're going to read the novel with more description because it's like, wow, you get into it. So I think about that as your goals. If you're taking the long way, the more descriptive way, the picture book way, it's going to feel more fulfilling at the end of it. At least in my opinion. That's what I would say in terms of reaching your goals.
Or the people who like menus with pictures versus the ones that don't have pictures.
Yeah, because I'm not about that life. Producer Cray wants to say something, y'all.
I just have a question. Is there a goal that you did not accomplish last year that you're kind of picking up this year? And
Yep.
Like, what is it?
So, okay. You go first, C.
So, I had a goal of going to the gym, and not just going to the gym to be there, like physical, but like I had a fitness test. Yeah. If you're involved in getting into law enforcement, you'd understand what I'm talking about. But I had a fitness test that requires me to run a certain amount, jump as much, do this. I'm not going to get all into that. But anyway, the thing is, I was doing it, I was like, yeah, I got to go hard. And then all of a sudden I just got into a little bit of a mini accident, and I was like, you know what? Fuck the gym. Yeah, I swore. I said, fuck the gym. I'm tired. I don't see any results. I'm not going anywhere. I don't feel like I'm doing this right. What am I supposed to do? So I just said, fuck it. So right now, for me, I'm not saying I'm going to be a star athlete tomorrow, but it's better that I start somewhere than nowhere at all.
So how are you approaching the goal differently this year as opposed to last year? Like, what's different this time around?
So what's different is I have to forget about the thing, like other life things that affected me. Like, just because I got into an accident doesn't mean my life is over. Like, I'm here and I'm alive, right? So that's a blessing already. And I feel like maybe with the other time I was going with someone, yeah, they gave me motivation, but as soon as that person didn't go, I didn't go. So it's like so now I'm making sure that I go no matter what. Like, I don't depend on someone else because they're not going to get me the results that I need.
True. No, I hear that. So going to the gym has always been a goal of mine. And what I will say is that similar to C, it was like a goal every year. Like, I need to lose weight. And finally, when I just made it like a part of my day-to-day routine, where it's just like, I'm just going to go to the gym. And honestly, sometimes I'll go to the gym and only spend 20 minutes. But for me, as long as I got my foot into the door, it made a difference. And one thing that also helped me reach my goal, and I was fortunate that your girl... Actually, I didn't have extra spending money, and I'll get into it, but I had this idea that I had spending money, so I signed up for like a personal trainer, and for me, that made a load of difference because...
Those things are expensive.
So number one, I wasn't letting my money go to waste, but number two, me and my personal trainer, and I still, like, me and her are still cool to this day. She motivated me, and she also challenged me, because I think one thing that happens is sometimes we don't see what we're able to do. We almost need another person to tell us how great we are. And so, like, low-key, she'd be like, yeah, you're fat, but you're strong. And so, like, to hear that, it was nice, because I was just so focused on the I'm fat. And she was like, no, like, your body is capable of doing amazing things if you would just... like, support it. Yeah, let it and support it in doing so. So I know for me, the gym isn't as much as a goal now as it was in previous years, because it's so normal to me now. Like, honestly, people in my life, when I don't go to the gym, they're like, yo, are you okay? Are you sick? Because they know it's a routine, and it's not even about looking good. Because let me tell you, sometimes I look like Humpty Dumpty, but
it's all about how you feel.
It's all about how I feel. Like, for me, it's definitely self-care. But a goal that I didn't accomplish last year that I'm definitely bringing into this year is money. Young money, baby.
Money.
Young moolah, baby. So I had this really great idea that I was going to save this large amount of money by December.
I'm going to buy a house by the end of the year. I'm moving out the hood. Okay.
So
yeah, that didn't happen.
So I had this great idea, but what happens with ideas when you don't write them down or plan for them is that they stay in ideas and they don't become progress. So what I did this year that's very different from what I did last year in regards to the goal is like I write down something I'm doing every week in order to save money. It's the background of my phone.
No more Timmy's.
No more Timmy's.
No more McDonald's.
Like, I only use a Starbucks gift card because I got it as a gift. I'm not buying food. I'll go hungry. There is rice at home.
No more Popeyes.
There is rice at home. I'm an African girl. There's always
rice
at home.
There is rice too.
In the fridge.
In the fridge. When you come home, you drink it with water.
Okay.
Oh, you eat it with water. Sorry, what am I saying?
But that's what I'm doing this year in regards to my financial goal. And I might not hit the large goal, but the other thing that I learned is when you make goals that you're scared of, the closer you get to it, the better it might be. So I might not hit my large goal of like moving out the hood by the end of this year, but I might hit the goal of having enough for part of my down payment. And what I also did is I set up a bank account so my bank accounts, for those of you who are in Canada, I bank with Tangerine. You can name your bank account. So my bank account is called Get Out of the Hood. So every paycheck, there's a bit of my money and it says this money was deposited to get out of the hood. And those of you who know who we are might say I don't live in the hood, but for me, I live in the hood, okay? And sometimes I want to live, in Yorkville. So
we want to live lavish too. Why can't I live lavish?
I want a condo. I want Drake to pull up to my condo and rap about it, okay? So here I am setting the goal. So hopefully when you guys are listening to us a year from now, I can say, hey guys, I was able to get close to my financial goal. That's what I'm doing.
Use so with saving money, yeah. So with that, I bank with TD. I kind of find them teeth. But anyways, besides the point, every time I swipe my debit card, $1 goes into my savings account, which I find, you're probably thinking it's $1. Oh, that's nothing. But, it adds up. And if you're going to shop every day or if you're, constantly swiping your card, you don't realize, hey, I swipe my card 10 times, there goes $10 into my savings account.
Yeah, and the other thing, we have to think of like smart ways to spend money. So like I got a cashback credit card. So I started off like being scared of credit cards, and now I have a cashback one. And I have like my reward categories, and I kid you not, I'll swipe it and it'll be like, you earned 32 cents on this purchase. So yes, I may have spent $5 on the purchase, but I earned back 32. And what I also did is I linked my credit and my debit. So if I spend it on credit to get the reward, I just automatically pay it back. I'm not carrying a balance in 2018, okay?
No debt.
The only balance I'm carrying is my extra weight. But even that
I rebuke the debt in Jesus.
I rebuke the debt. I rebuke the fact. I rebuke the haters, okay?
You want to be looking like Bria Miles at the end of the day.
Hey, chocolate goddess in the flash.
No more 6 rolls. We want 6-pack abs, okay?
Hey, the only, even if I don't get 6-pack abs, I'm going to avoid the 6-pack Cinnabon. Anyways.
Who doesn't like Cinnabons? Don't hate. Shout out to Cinnabons.
I feel like this is so off topic, but I feel like some of the best things come in 6-pack Cinnabons, 6 nuggets, 6 beers.
6 nuggets, 6 beers, 6 cupcakes.
Half a dozen donuts. Like, who am I to rebuke the glory of God?
See, but why do all the good things taste so good? Krispy Kreme donuts? But why aren't they everywhere?
Why is everything that feels so good so bad sometimes? But yeah, so when we're talking about goals, I guess what we could jump into is what are our goals for this magical podcast we are recording in this luxurious studio, which is my mother's living room. With the Christmas tree still up.
There's a lot of people who are still guilty and still have their Christmas stuff still up. So you're not the only one.
I love Christmas.
I mean, if it hits February, I might have to question.
No, because then it'll be up to celebrate Black History Month.
Black Panther.
Speaking of which, oh my gosh, I'm excited.
But yeah, so what are our goals for Herside Radio?
Goal number 1 is to make sure we sit down and come up with an idea for every episode. So that's bi-weekly, we said?
Yeah, so we're going to do bi-weekly episodes. I think that's a really good goal. Like, just have, like, our episodes pre-planned. The one thing that I want to commit to is at least recording, like, a certain amount of episodes. I will not say it on this podcast, because if y'all listen and y'all come back, like, you said you were going to record this and you only recorded this, and then me and you are fighting. I don't care if it's in Scarborough Town. I don't care if it's in Ian Center. We fighting.
Fairview Mall, Yorkdale, Vaugh Mills, some plazas.
I don't care if it's Finch West Station, but what I will
Shepherd
say,
West Station,
Downsview Park,
Cape Station, on the yellow line, the green line, purple.
Okay, rewind. We're getting to Toronto. But what I want to say is that I definitely want to make sure we record a certain amount of episodes. I don't want it just to be this thing like, oh, I did that once and it was fun. I want to make sure that, like, there's consistency.
And because we have made this our passion project for 2018, and we're speaking about goals and how to stay consistent, we also have to stay consistent with the podcast.
And I think the podcast will be like a good physical representation of goals, because like we were talking about with the gym, you don't see the effects in one workout. You see them after like 10. But at least with a podcast, at the end of each podcast, you have the example of, look, you have sat there for an hour and your voice is on the tape.
And the people are watching you. Yeah. I don't know why I did that, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think another one of my goals is keeping like the social media for the podcast active. So if you are listening right now, I want you to pay attention. So take out your smart device and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, YouTube. We don't have a MySpace. I'm sorry, but you can follow us.
MySpace? That thing still exists?
Anyways, you can follow us at You can follow us at Herside Radio. That's across all platforms, and we really want to interact with y'all. Give us questions, give us ideas, give us motivation. Because honestly, I think the best part about podcasts is that it feels like it's a conversation with your peoples. So I know I listen to at least a podcast a day, and it's because I feel included. Even though I don't know those people, in my head, they are my friends. I don't have many, but I have my podcast.
She thinks she's friends with Joe Budden, by the way.
Yo, I don't think I'm friends with Joe Budden. Me and Joe Budden wrote mood music 1 through 5,000 together. Okay? Hi, Joey. Hi, Joey. Congratulations to you and Sin on the baby. I can't wait for my invitation to meet him.
Hey, watch her. She said invitation. Wow.
Hi, Lex. It's Auntie Tracy.
Auntie who?
Look at me inviting myself into the child's life.
The only auntie you are is the auntie of your niece, okay?
Anyways, so let's not get into my personal life.
Anywho.
So yeah, so I think definitely like getting our socials up. So like I said, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Herside Radio. Tell us how you feel. We're gonna be on iTunes and SoundCloud too.
We are on.
Oh yeah, we are. Sorry.
Oh, producer just had to school you on that one. Sorry, boo.
I'm just gonna apologize right now in regards to like sometimes the energy on this podcast might be low, because as this is our passion project, which means that we have other projects, aka jobs, that fund
9 to 5 on that computer
that fund this passion project. So if we ever sound low today, I had to go through my job. I had an interesting day, and then the snow of Toronto attacked me. So I do apologize if I forget things as we discuss.
And there's people going on vacation and I'm still here like, it's negative what outside?
So yeah, so I think those are my goals with the podcast, to make sure that we do it, we keep the social medias going, and that we also keep the passion in the passion project.
So give us your comments. Your constructive criticism is good for us, right?
Yeah, as I always say this, I always say, like, what are your concerns, thoughts, feedbacks, and questions? I say that in every part of my life, because you're always going to learn from what someone says to you, even if you don't agree with it. So those are my podcast goals. Oh, I don't know what noise I just made there. Eh?
Was that a hiccup? It was like, I don't know.
I'm going through a lot, guys. I'll talk about it in another podcast.
Really?
Canadian content.
So what do you mean, producer Cray?
Oh, Canada.
Okay, but you explained it really well the last time.
About the podcast. So another reason why I want to keep the podcast fresh, keep the podcast going, keep it flowing, is because podcasts are really, not just podcasts, I feel like all artistic venues are really overwhelmed by our siblings to the south. So everything's like New York. everything's New York, everything's Chicago, everything's this, everything's that, and
NYC,
Toronto,
Chirac, and all these other, you know.
Are you done? Is you done or is you finished?
Are you rude?
Okay, so I think
silly, but yeah.
So I think what happens a lot with Toronto content is we go under the radar. So even though there's a lot of great Canadian-based podcasts, we don't hear a lot of it. So it's important for us to stay consistent so that we can up the Canadian content
and stand out.
And also, one thing I was saying to producer Cray, like on the side, is a lot of a lot of Toronto podcasts I feel like aren't based out of our experiences. So as we were saying, we're from Northside Toronto, 39 local.
Done now.
I feel like a lot of things are based like in downtown, and downtown is great. Downtown is wonderful. But at the end of the day, it's
also very crowded.
At the end of the day, I go back to my little suburban corner, and I want to make sure that our voices...
Suburban? There ain't nothing suburban about here. Well, I mean, we're surrounded by yeah, but... You know, I still live on a block. So, anywho,
yeah. So we still go back to our suburban blocks. I think we have a very different experience from those of y'all who are on, Queen Street West, or like, in Regent or in Parkdale. We're in North. We're North Scarborough, North York. It's a different piece that I think is really interesting and gives a different perspective. The other thing I was also saying is like, we are first generation African, so that's going to be a whole topic that's going to come up day in and day out. Like even right now, we're recording the podcast kind of quietly because there is an African mother in the background.
What are you guys doing?
So there's an African mother in the background that we have to be very mindful of, because if we're not finding husband or going to school, why are we talking? So I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to throw our piece into the podcast mix to mix it up a little bit.
My bad.
I'm sorry that C just screamed into your ear.
Sorry, Auntie.
And Mom, if you ever listen to this, I'm sorry that we woke you up.
We're getting beat after.
I'm not getting beat. I'm an adult.
You won't get beat, but you'll get cussed.
My mom loves me. Anyways, so that's a bit... I don't blah blah words, they mean things. So that's a bit of what's going on with us. One thing that we thought would be really cool to add to each podcast episode is a music moment. So we talked about goals and why it's so hard to stick to goals. What is a song that comes to mind for you, C, when you're thinking of meeting your goals and being a better you, or that pushes you through when things seem difficult?
So off the top of my head, really quick, T.I. featuring Rihanna, Live Your Life. Especially with the way life is right now, there's a lot of hatred, there's racism, there's, I'm better than you just because I'm better than you, all of that stuff.
Asianism, all the isms.
All the isms of isms.
All the isms, all the phobias that we definitely...
Phobias.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of phobias, but yeah, living in a world that we're living in like today, especially with all the craziness going on, and if you look to the other side of the world in America right now and all the craziness that's going on over there, not just saying there is the only place that stuff is going on in, but like all over the world, it's just crazy. So with the song Live Your Life, Rihanna talks about just live your life, who cares about what other people have to say, just do it because that's what you want to do. T.I. says, forget the haters, ignore them till they fade away pretty much, just do what you gotta do, like, live your life for you, not for other people. Not for the validation of other people. Who cares what other people think? At the end of the day, they are not you, and you have a different story versus them.
For sure. And just an interesting side note, the year is 2018 and Live Your Life, I think, is 10 years old now. So for those of you who think you are young, you are not.
You're not young at all. Being a 90s kid? Oh gosh, man, you're getting old.
That's another topic for another time. So a song that that gets me thinking about my goals, or that like keeps me motivated, or when I'm feeling challenged. So I think SZA had like an amazing year last year.
Shout out to my birthday twin.
So SZA's amazing, and so the song that I actually have play like every single morning, and it's my alarm to go catch the bus to get to my adult job, is Go Gina. And I just like the beat, and like every time she says "Go Gina," I imagine she's saying "Go Tracy," and it just like it gets me vibing and going. And it's like I'm gonna be honest, on top of my head, I can't even remember the lyrics, but just the "Go Gina, Go Gina" gets me like rolling and getting out of here. So I'll definitely say that "Go Gina" is one of my songs that keeps me moving and keeps me going. And every single morning, like I'm not even joking, even on Sundays and Saturdays, I play that song just to. It's mellow, but it's still it's a vibe.
Yeah. So, producer Craig, do you got a song?
So, I love Chance the Rapper. Shout out
Such
to
a
him.
sweetie.
I love him. But my song that I play is from Acid Rap Mixtape, the Good Ass Intro, where he says, "Even better than the last time." No, even better than I was the last. I can't sing.
You don't have to tell us.
I can't sing.
You don't have to tell us. We can hear it.
Oh wow!
Ouch, but
this table.
What she's
like
trying
crazy.
to say is that she likes the song. Cause go ahead.
Even better than I was the last time. So that's a little motivation for 2018.
So she
Shout out
wants
to
to
Chance
be
Rapper.
even better than she was the last time you seen her. So the next time you see her, you're gonna be like, "Damn girl, you looking
maybe
fly."
not the next time, maybe the next time.
So maybe after like the 10th next, but yeah.
So I think I think it would definitely be cool to end the podcast on that song. But before we close the podcast out, don't forget to follow us on all of our social medias. Herside Radio. We're on Google Play. We're on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud. We're in your boyfriend's ear. We're in your side man's car. We're in your ex-best friend's
Your sugar
top
daddies.
rated radio. We're in your sugar daddy's daughter's podcast list.
Oh,
Y'all
yeah,
are getting really disrespectful.
yeah, mom.
And I think we'll end it here. Happy New Year, folks. See you in 2 weeks. I mean, talk to y'all in 2 weeks.
Year. Well, we're in the new year, but make sure you stay consistent and
Shout out.
And I was the last time, baby.